I've been driving around in my car, looking for some kind of open bar. It's gonna be alright, gonna be alright. Got no money, but I'll work it out with my charm. Having a good time, ain't doing no harm. It's gonna be alright, gonna be alright. Hey now.
Hello and welcome to the Nerd in Motion YouTube channel. And something crazy has happened. I sent an email to a politician, and now we have a politician sat in the shed with me. And this is Sarah Wood from Reform UK. And I can literally hear the people go, So, Sarah, tell us very quickly your background, and then maybe people will understand why I contacted you.
Okay, yeah.
So, I got a leaflet through,
Yeah,
and it said that you were an engineer,
that's correct, yeah.
and you were in the RAF.
That is also correct.
And then I was like, I must email this person and have them on. So, quickly, I don't know if we'll use this bit or use the one before, but we've already recorded something. So, just quickly tell everybody who you are.
Okay. So, as you quite rightly pointed out, I am Sarah Wood, that's me. And yeah, you contacted me, and the Nerd in Motion was absolutely a fit for me because we are engineers in kind, and that's my job. So I'm an engineer, and I've been doing it for over 20 years. I started out in the Air Force as a pilot, as a trainee pilot. And then I left the Air Force and went into what's called Civvy Street. That's what we call it in the Air Force. And I've been working in engineering ever since. Funnily enough, in the kind of engineering which fits this channel to a T. So automotive, and most recent stint was with Cummins.
Cummins Diesels.
Cummins Diesels, yeah.
Cletus McFarlane would love that.
But now, scratch the record, taken a completely different turn. And yeah, I'm standing for Spen Valley in the next general election for the Reform UK Party.
Which I hadn't heard of until a few weeks ago. You guys will have heard me. I literally said, I think I'm going to vote for these people. But then, you know what I'm like. I flip-flop around and can't make a decision. But I said to Lydia, we need to register to vote this time because I am so sick of how things are going. Mm-hmm. And if there is an alternative that is good, then let's have that alternative and give it a go. Because I'm sick. I don't want it to be like America, where it's you're either red or blue.
Yeah.
Just doesn't need to be that. And you're a kind of teal colour.
That's right, yeah.
I'm all up for a bit of teal. I've got my teal standout and everything.
Yeah, I think, your journey is very typical of people who are joining Reform UK actually hand over fist at the moment. Like in the last week, we got 10,000 new members. I think a couple of days ago there was a new joiner every 36 seconds.
What?
Yeah, it's astonishing. And a lot of people are in the same boat. They are, their cup overfloweth with corrupt politicians. What I call the table tennis game of Labour or Tory for the last century. So
they're such a bunch of liars.
They don't tell the truth
and
very often.
All they do is lie about different things. And you decide which ones you kind of affiliate with the best lie.
Yeah, and the sad thing is that as a nation, we've kind of become comfortable with that.
Yeah.
We there's this kind of in-joke. Oh, yeah, all politicians are liars. And, I, for one, I'm really not happy to allow that to be the new bar.
No, it shouldn't be. And we've been lazy, I think, in many ways. We've just slept walk into it.
Yeah.
We've just let everybody do whatever they like all the time.
Yeah.
So, I read they don't have a manifesto. I'm sorry if this isn't in the way. It goes right across my face. That's about as good as I can get it to me. They have a manifesto, but it's written as a contract, which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
Which in itself seems like a better idea, because the manifesto is like, you could write that on toilet paper for all it's worth.
Yeah, exactly.
They literally don't do any of it.
Yeah, I mean, Richard Tice, his concept of having a contract was, when you write a contract, you have to negotiate it. You know, it's the fundamental premise of a contract. And so the idea behind that was, well, if we were going to create some agreements with the British people, then that's exactly what we should do. We should agree on what the most important things are, and then you can contract us to it.
Well, I think now, off the top of my head, the one thing that really, the gripe I have right now, as you might have seen from the channel, not a big fan of Sadiq Khan. Not really. ULEZ and the whole zero emissions thing,
Yeah,
I think, personally, is a complete and utter scam.
yeah,
And just a way of taxing people. And yeah, I think we should have cleaner air in our cities.
yeah,
But you could do that in another way without taxing the people.
yeah.
You could push the manufacturers to design better things.
That would be a good idea.
You could even do... one of the big things is particulate matter and NOx. So we already have EGR systems in,
Yeah.
which put hot exhaust gas into the combustion chamber, which then lowers the temperature. I know that sounds crazy, but that's how it works. And that reduces the chance of NOx being produced. So you also have something called a diesel particulate filter, which basically clogs up and costs thousands to
Yes.
fix. But there would be a way of using those technologies to, when you get into a zone where you need to have clean air, where it reduces the NOx, and it, because we're doing geofencing and all that dodgy stuff already.
Yeah.
So you could do it so that it reduces the NOx and captures all the soot.
Yeah, I mean,
It could be done.
There's plenty of ways to skin a cat, and it just seems surprising that what our governments legislate for are all the things that they can also slap a tax on our backs for. as well.
Exactly. Yeah, because they wouldn't make any money out of that.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
And I just think it's unreasonable. So if you guys get in, what would you do with the whole net zero
So the first
religion?
Yeah, the religion. Yeah, we call it the religion too. So the first thing that we do regarding net zero is all of these legislative targets that all the cross countries of the world have signed up to. Some people call them carbon reduction schemes. Some people call them the net zero legislation, the net zero pledges, etc. And you know, it started off, we're going to try and get there by 2030, but then that moved to 2050, etc. So we would scrap them all.
All of it
All of them
gone.
gone.
But surely you would be pushing manufacturers to make cleaner cars, though.
What we see is that when we make decisions about policy, they should be data-based. And the net zero legislative targets, not only are they not data-based, but they are actually questioned by a lot of leading scientists. And so it's the same for any other thing that we might choose to do, whatever policy it would be. If we think it's the right thing to do because the data tells us to do that,
Yeah.
and because it's the people are aligned with it, then that's where we'll go. So, for example, you know, diesel particulates, you know, if that makes sense in terms of local pollution, then that's fine. But should we tax people for it? Probably not. Is there tech that we can use that can get us there? Probably.
Oh, 100%.
And it's the same with things like anything else to do with climate or looking after the planet. You know, there's low-hanging fruit which we know that we can do something about. For example, single-use plastics. Well, we never used to have plastic bottles at all. We used to have glass bottles. You know, the Ben Shaws, dandelion and burdock, the beer, of course, which is very close to your heart.
Have a good beer.
And I think because we know that we can do that, and that worked perfectly well, I'm not totally sure why we moved away from it, if I'm honest. But
No,
yeah.
well, just because money, innit?
Big business.
Big business, and like they're churning bottles out for right, left, and centre.
Yeah.
And I was somebody that moaned about the DRS system in Scotland,
Yeah.
but that's because it just wasn't the right timing. And also, what they wanted to do, and what you see all the time, is they want to take control of the industry. So what
Yeah.
they were hoping is to have a system like Norway, where they control the in and out of all the alcohol, and the government makes all the money out of
Yeah.
it. So that's what Scotland were really trying to do.
Yeah.
Had nothing to do with the environment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I like that. I think that is exactly where I stand on that.
Yeah.
I think 100% it, because it's nonsense, and it is just like the only thing I can respect. So in Scotland they've done it, and it's really expensive if you go in the town centre.
Yeah.
And I kind of think, well, okay, you're basically saying don't drive a car in our town centre. We don't want you in there.
Yeah.
That's fine. I can live with that. But when you're kind of, the charge is not really that much, but it is a little bit, and it's like, if you're rich, you're all good to pollute.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not really reasonable.
Yeah.
And then there's like people, that poor lady that rang in from, did you ever hear the one? She was a nurse, and she rang LBC
Yeah.
to speak to Khan.
Right.
And he said, oh, well, we've got a scrappage scheme. And she's like, I literally can't buy food.
Oh yes, I did hear about that. Yeah.
And he literally couldn't give a toss.
No, and I think that's the issue, really, isn't it? That they put in these schemes, they decide it's the right thing to do, they impose it upon us, they come up with mitigations, and really the mitigations don't work. They've not consulted with the people. When they do consult with the people, typically, Sadiq consults with the people, but then ignores what the response is. And I think people, they've had enough.
Everyone's had enough.
Yeah.
On all sides, all religions, all walks, we've all had enough.
We've all had our fill.
I'm seeing. So we've got immigration problem here, but I'm also seeing a lot of people leave as well because they've had enough.
Yeah.
Or they come here and they're like, "This is pants. I'm off."
Absolutely.
It's not the land of milk and honey.
No. I mean, I have a cousin, and she and her partner, they left, emigrated to Australia for this reason, that they just didn't see a future for themselves in Britain. Yeah.
And Australia's got 7 of the most deadliest animals on the planet. So
I know, it's pretty risky to go there.
That must have been they must have been really pushed. Sorry, Trav, if you're watching. We've got a fan in Australia called Trav. There's Sam Smalley as well. He's another one.
Hi, Trav. Hi, Sam.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're like proper legends. Trav will be loving this because he's very much like me in the thinking. So, immigration. Now, this is a real...
Yeah, this is the immigration election, right?
Well, this seems to be like the topic. And like a while ago, I wouldn't have dared talk about it on this channel.
Yeah.
And I would preface this with, I have a child of colour. I have friends, and I mean very close friends of colour. And I love them all. And there's no... To me, I don't see it. But there is a definite difference in cultures.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. If you are seeking asylum, and like the whole thing with Biden, the evacuation of Afghanistan, what an absolute mess that was. There were a lot of Afghans that helped us as a nation. Then they should be here. We should be looking after them. There's no difference to the Gurkhas. They fought for us. We should be looking after them. What Biden did was unacceptable in my mind. Disgraceful. There's no way out for it. There's no way you can justify the way he did it.
Yeah.
And then I would just say that if you're coming here and you really and you're pushed and you've got a family and you're really doing it, then just do it the right way.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say from a point of view of my personal views, which are aligned with the Reform UK Party's views, is that when we speak about immigration, whether it be legal or illegal immigration, we don't mean people who are fleeing persecution.
Yeah.
We don't mean genuine refugees. Who we mean in terms of illegal immigration are economic criminal migrants getting in a boat, coming across the channel, dumping their passport on the way, and trying to take advantage of the country's good spirit and good nature. What we mean by illegal immigration is a poorly thought out complete recipe for disaster. Immigration system that doesn't contemplate whether we can cope with the amounts coming, whether the infrastructure is there, whether we are actually getting people that we want into the country. So, do we need anybody else to, do we need to bring waiters and waitresses in the country? No, we don't. Do we need people to do cyber security? Yes, we do. So which one should we choose? And also the concept of the levels, the numbers coming in. I mean,
it's bonkers.
In 2022, I think it was in the 750,000s. And then 2023 has just come out and it was 650 something, 652,000.
That's like Birmingham. The whole of Birmingham.
Absolutely. And so, I think there's data out that shows if we wanted to cope with just the amount that came in, just this last year, we'd have to build one house every 2 minutes. I mean, that's astonishing. It's completely infeasible.
And it's not fair on them. I know this sounds really like some people will probably go, "Oh, John, you're too soft." But
yeah,
they're not far from us. There's a mill, and they put all these young men in this mill.
Yeah.
And it's damp. It's cold.
Mm.
It's not a nice place.
No.
And they've just kind of divvied it up with stud walls inside.
Mm.
And I just think I can't see that is a nice way to live.
No, I mean,
I feel like they probably would have been better off staying where they were.
Yeah, and it's not thought through.
And when I say where they were, like France, Germany, or the other countries they passed through.
Well, which is a good point, really, because a lot of people, the argument that people have with Reform UK is that these people are fleeing persecution, but if they've come from France, then that's just untrue.
Yeah, well, France are very tolerant people. Well, tolerant apart from their own government. They're not very tolerant with their own government. I wish we were a bit like that. Yes. But they're good people. I've got French. In fact, we're meant to be going to Nantes this summer.
Okay.
So who knows? It's in June now and it's still raining. But yeah, I agree. I think we need to. It just doesn't seem like. I think it's dangerous. You're putting people in peril. What's the big push? Why do we need all these people?
Yeah.
Why has Rishi not sorted it out?
Yeah, I mean, he's had plenty of time, 14 years, and one of our policies which we announced recently was that we're going to ask that big business and companies in the UK, if they do feel the need to recruit people from overseas, that they will then have the choice. So they'll be able to either choose from the British workforce or train the British workforce, and apprenticeships is a great way of doing that, or they will be required to pay extra national insurance contributions for every person who they don't choose from the British workforce.
Well, that's not a bad shout.
Yeah.
Also, I'm not a person that would normally vote.
Yeah.
I made a decision that I am going to vote. I'm going to vote for you guys.
Okay.
Because...
Thank you.
Well, no, I just think, what else can we do at this point? I can't go with Labour because of the way that they're behaving. And Conservatives are just a bunch of ruthless swines, as far as I'm concerned. And sending our kids for national service, national service, not necessarily a bad thing, but telling us, hey, you know what? Get you on side, we'll send your kids to war.
I think it's also the timing of it, which is a bit questionable.
It's not great, isn't it? It just, the whole thing's a joke. So I think, I'm going to be voting for you. We definitely need to do, because there's something else that you told me about that I really want to get into, about turbos and engines and things. And
that's probably a good next podcast.
Yeah, that's definitely a good next podcast. So thank you, Sarah, for coming in.
Thank you very much.
I feel like we could talk forever.
We've talked all night in this foil shed.
In the foil shed.
With the lovely neon signs.
Yes, you don't have to wear a tinfoil hat in here.
No.
So thank you everybody for listening and watching, and please, I will put a link below to the contract from Reform, and you can go and have a look at it for yourself. And if you think I'm wrong, I would love to hear your comments if you think Sarah's wrong. But equally, if you support what she's doing, then please, it's so refreshing to hear some common sense. That's where I'm at.
Thank you.
So thank you, Sarah, for coming in.
Pleasure.
And yeah, I'll try and get you on the. We'll have wine next time, non-alcoholic wine. Right, love you all. Thank you. Catch you on the flip side.